This is setup and running of the HDB G&L Endomatic. We've gone ahead and we've cleaned up the operator stations. There's one on each side of the machine that control the separate functions for each of the two heads. The master station on the left-hand side has a pump start and emergency stop button. In order to start the machine up, the pump start button is started and the machine is set. The center position switch, the set auto, the set position is the manual position if you were setting up the machine. And the auto position and automatic cycle could be set up depending on where you set your stop dogs and your other units and items. When setting up the machine, the upper two switches are the vice lock and the vices unlock. And those are selector push buttons that can be turned to do either a single vice, in this case would be the left-hand vice, or you can set up for both vices. The vices unlock button, selector switch on the right, sets up whether the vices will open automatically at the end of an auto cycle. The cycle start button on the left-hand side here is a push button selector switch. In the single position, only the left-hand head would work to come forward. In the dual position, both heads move forward. The cycle start is also shown, which can be done on the right-hand head as well. These vice unlock and vice lock push buttons will control both vices if the selector switch is set to both. Going back to the left-hand operator station, there is a high-low speed button, selector switch, that will select either the low speed or high speed for the spindle milling heads. These motors are two-speed motors, can be run at 900 RPMs or 1800 RPMs. The spindle command at the bottom here is this to rotate. If you are setting up to change a tool, you can rotate. Could you press that for me, Gary, again, please? This is the left-hand head rotating at high speed. If you changed over to low speed, turning the selector switch to low, and then pressing the rotate button, rotates at low speed. The return advance selector knob here controls the movement of the left-hand head. Turning it to advance, Gary, go ahead, will move the slide forward. It will move till it comes up and hits the feed selector dog here, which puts it into feed mode. Can you return that for us, Gary? That is automatic when you're in the auto mode. The vices have a swing stop for positioning the swing arm in order to set up your part. That can be adjusted up or down to put on to either center or where you need to have it. In the down position, when it's in position to set up, you cannot move the heads forward. Gary, try to move that forward. No movement is shown in the head at this point. In order to get a cycle or the heads to move forward, the swing arm must be moved to the back position. At this point, the head could be moved forward and can be returned. Same holds true for the right-hand head. There is a spindle advance and return. To go into an automatic cycle, you would set up your feed cam as to when you want to go to feed, and you would switch over to auto on the selector button. In the auto position, the machine would run a full cycle, would move forward to the feed unit, and would ultimately hit the forward limit switch, which is this dog here as it comes up to finished position. In order to get the machine to cycle in an auto mode, the heads have to be back at their original starting position. These limit switches must be made up on both the right and left hand sides in order to cycle the machine. We're going to run like what would be a normal cycle here. Our operator will bring the swing arm down in a position where he can get the part to set up where he wants it. He'll return the swing arm back. He'll come up, he has both vices set for lock, and he'll do a voice lock command. Vice lock. He'll fully lock the vices. You'll also notice that he didn't fully lock it there because the right hand or left hand pressure switch did not stay up. Now it's locked in fully. Let's see that well. You need to maintain pressure on both devices in order to cycle the machine. At this point, he's got a vice fully locked command, and the heads will now cycle. He hits a start cycle, and we come into a full cycle here. The second flow control here is for another fine cycle if you had to go from rapid to a feed to a second feed. We're not using that at this point. Devices will open automatically here at the end of the cycle because the selector push button is set for auto for the vices unlocked. If the vices were in hand position, once he completes a cycle, which will go through another cycle. Gary, would you just lock the vices and do another cycle, please? So if he's loaded another part, the vices are now on hand. So he's going to do another cycle. When this one completes, the vices will not open. You may want to do this if you were doing a setup and wanted to come in a few thousandths more. You'd be able to set up at this point without having the part drop down. Cycle will stop and the vices will not open. I think you'll find that this machine operates very similar to your other machine. When we take this machine apart, we will match mark all the lines with color-coded zip ties. Should be very straightforward to come back together. That's our operation.